folks, Van Prepper here with another SAFE Act update. This one focused entirely on Governor Cuomo and signs that his re-election campaign is in big trouble and he knows it. I'm going to give you the top 5 signs that I see that Governor Cuomo's re-election campaign is in trouble no matter what the polls say. The first is Governor Cuomo had a primary challenge by little-known and completely underfunded Zephyr Teachout last month. This is a heavily Democratic state, a blue state. This guy should have solid, big-time support in this state, but he does not even from his own party. Zephyr Teachout, his opponent, who was completely underfunded and barely known, won 30 of 62 counties in New York State. That's terrible, and it's embarrassing for him. Teachout won 34% of the votes statewide in her primary challenge with Cuomo. This is an embarrassing showing for Cuomo, especially considering he did not debate her or even acknowledge her or mention her name during his primary campaign season. Not once. Didn't even mention her name. Those are the top 2 signs from that election that he is in big trouble. Thirdly, the New York State Teachers Union, which is solidly behind Governor Cuomo, or should be, you would think, very supportive. You can pencil them in as endorsing and financially supporting every Democrat candidate across the state. Maybe not so much this time, at least not with their votes. The New York State Teachers Union showing real signs that they are very much anti-Cuomo. They are up in arms in an open revolt over Cuomo's support of Common Core. Last month, recently, there was an election for the president of the New York State Teachers Union. Now, this is usually a rubber stamp election. There's never any real challenge. The things are just kind of just for show. Well, the New York State Teachers Union president was defeated because he is a Cuomo guy who supports Common Core. Also, a Board of Regents member, James Jackson, who is also a supporter of Common Core and a Cuomo guy, was pressured into resigning last month. The teachers union is very unhappy, and if the teachers union does not both financially support and show up en masse to vote in this November election, Cuomo could be in real trouble. I don't care what the polls say. On a little side note, they had a 9%, I think, and maybe less than that, turnout in this primary election between Zephyr Teachout and Andrew Cuomo. Nobody is energized on that side of the ticket. His voters are probably not going to turn out in big numbers because they really don't support him very much. They're kind of yeah, I guess he's better than the other guy, but that doesn't get people off the couch and in the voting booth. And on the other side of the equation, we are a very motivated anti-Cuomo voting base. Those of us who are Second Amendment advocates and who are against Common Core, who are against most of the agenda of Governor Cuomo, are very, very active, and we are going to turn out on November. And I don't care what the polls say. We're going to see in November if the SAFE Act and these other things that he supports costs him in an election. It is going to be a shocking rebuke if he loses this election. One other thing I had, or 2 other things, excuse me. Mark Grisanti, who is a Republican senator from the Buffalo area, lost in a primary election to almost a completely unknown, a political novice, because Mark Grisanti voted for and supported the SAFE Act. Buffalo is by no means, this area that he is the senator for, at least for the time being, is not a rural area. This is an urban area, and he just got housed in an election. He lost like 57 to 43%. He got whipped by a nobody, an unknown, and it was, I don't care what he says, it was because he voted for and supported the SAFE Act. Now that's pretty embarrassing, especially in the area that it took place in. And my final thing, the final sign that Governor Cuomo, his re-election campaign is in trouble, and he knows it, and this is the one that really shows he knows it, he refused to mention Zephyr Teachout by name and did not debate her. And he has thus far barely mentioned Astorino and refused to debate him. Well, after that embarrassing showing, now he's claiming it has nothing to do with this. His team is saying it's not anything to do with the embarrassing showing in the primary election. But he has now agreed to debate Rob Astorino at least once. So that is a real concession for a guy that his campaign is not going the way he wanted it to. If he thought he was going to skate to a 2/3 to 1/3 easy win in this election, like a lot of the polls are showing, he would not be wasting his time debating Rob Astorino. He would have just ignored her like he did Zephyr Teachout. But he's afraid that he's going to get as much an embarrassment and a shock on the real election day as he did in the primary election, and he's trying to change things up and hoping he can make a good showing in this debate, which I doubt he can because he's Governor Cuomo and he's a bit of a tyrant. But that is the top 5 reasons and top 5 signs that Governor Cuomo, his re-election campaign, is in big trouble. I am Van Prepper, and this has been another Safe Act and Gun News Update. Happy shooting, everybody.